Hello and welcome to the Life Pod, hosted by Michael Panay
and Karim Dow, brought to you by MK Enterprises, a community based on discussing life topics and driving continual personal development and growth.
Send through any topics you want covered and be sure to follow and tag us on all social media at MK Enterprises. We hope you enjoy today's episode. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Life Pod. Today we have on Mariam, business coach, author, business mentor, mother. You do it all. Thank you so much for coming on today. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
I know you're on your very, very busy schedule. Do you want to add? You there?
Yeah, here we are.
Here we are.
Just wanted to say thank you for joining us. You're on the other side of town. You made the effort to come down. It's so nice to have you here. And as Michael said, you do so many things, and I feel like that in itself deserves like a pat on the back. Like, wow, it's like you're not just a mum. You're not just a business coach. You're not just an entrepreneur. It's like you're sort of pulled and stretched in all these different ways, and you still manage to keep up on top of all of them. Because usually if you do one thing or two things, the other couple of things you try and do usually sort of fail or don't do as well. But you're holding a very high standard for absolutely everything. So well done.
Wow, it started off really hard. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for the intro.
No, of course.
I try to be on top of everything, but in reality, who is ever on top of anything? Like, you know,
Very true.
No one is perfect. We portray a perfect image, but we are not perfect. We all have our flaws and our challenges, but we try every day to outdo ourselves from the day before. I think that's my motto: outdo myself.
Love it.
So sort of like that mindset of 1% better every day.
Yeah, not even 0.01 is for me.
We're a minute.
Not one. One's too hard.
We're less than 2 minutes in, and there's already so much value. It's awesome.
Honestly, this is something Michael and I said on the last podcast, and we believe that there's no such thing as perfect.
No.
Because if there's perfect, and Michael said this, it was like, well, that means that you can't get any better, which we think is a load of shit. It's like there's always a better way to do it, more systems to put in place, more money to make, whatever it might be. There's always another level up to whether it be business, mindset, your mental health, your house, whatever it is, there's always something better and bigger. And it all comes down to perspective of what you think is enough and what you're content with. I feel like that's a really big one. Because if you're making, let's use the financial example of $100,000 a year, and you're content with that and you feel comfortable, amazing. But if you know you can earn more and you want to earn more, then go ahead and do it. But if you aren't happy with something and then you don't do anything about it, you're literally the only one sort of stopping yourself from taking that step. And it's like you say you want something, but you haven't done anything to actually take the step forward and take action. A lot of people like the idea of things. And being in the fitness industry, people come to me and say, I want to lose weight. They like the idea of having abs and eating healthy and all these things. They like the idea of it.
I'm guilty.
But they don't want it. But then when it comes, yeah, it's a good way to put it. But then when it comes down to actually, for an example, in your case, having to work the long hours, make the calls, make the emails, it's like, fuck, I actually don't want to do this anymore.
It's discipline. That's what it is. And I think if we're talking about health, that's what I lack in this field. Because as I said, no one's perfect in every aspect of their life. But I'm getting better. Better is always better.
I wouldn't say with everything that you've going on that you lack discipline. I definitely think you have discipline, and I think you'd need that to do a lot of what you're doing,
but not
and
in my
especially
health.
in the past.
I'm talking just about the health,
in your health
section. Yeah. I'm saying in that section, I lack discipline because in life, it's all about, and we'll get into later why motivation's crap and bull crap that we've been sold.
Yes, I love this already.
And why it's discipline, but I lack this, and you have to be aware of your problems to solve them.
Yeah.
I'm very fully aware in my health that I lack discipline, not motivation. The resources are out there, but we need to, as Karim said, we need to implement what we learn, because then having information without implementation is useless. It becomes rubbish.
Yeah.
It becomes a load on us, and if it makes us feel guilty. So definitely working to better myself in the health section.
Self-awareness, though, is the first part to getting that, though.
Yeah.
So spot on. Perfect.
It solves half of your problem when you're aware of the problem that you have.
Well, with everything you do have going on, thank you so much for your time, even because you were telling us took you a bit to get here. So we really appreciate your time, because that's one thing we realized too recently is time is very important, especially in your line of work. I guess other question I had for you was run us through who you are and your story.
Actually, before we get onto that, sorry, because you touched on a really good point of self-awareness. For someone who's listening, how do you think someone can become more self-aware of their flaws?
Admitting to yourself first what you lack, because no one can be 100% in anything. I think And ethnic people, and I say that because, you know, I'm a Lebanese background, growing up in an ethnic family, in ethnic community, we are not really taught to be self-aware. We're always told what everyone, our perception of everyone around us should be. And then when you come to do critical thinking of yourself, it's like it's very alienated or weird. So I think for our generation especially, to actually sit down with yourself one-on-one and admit to yourself, this is where I lack, you know, within my case, sometimes discipline or, you know, I need to learn a few skills. What you lack is so important to be aware of between yourself. And once you've admitted that, to have a plan of action of how you're going to improve. It's always the plan of action that people lack.
I feel like a lot of people are just actually sort of scared of their own thoughts as well.
They are.
Even
scared of the truth.
Yep.
Yeah, a business coach I know also said to me, is like, how much time do people actually spend with their own thoughts? It's like you either listen to an audiobook or music or you're on TikTok or whatever it might be, but you're never actually just sitting alone with your thoughts and thinking, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? How can I improve?
That's why prayer and meditation is so powerful.
100%. 100%. Being alone with your own thoughts. Like, am I happy? And I feel like that's why a lot of people are so upset. Because again, they wait till things pile up because they're never with their own thoughts and never get to sort of express themselves because they're always sort of bottled up in just, for lack of a better word, society and life, doing the thing or going to work. And then all of a sudden it explodes and now they're in a really bad mental place because they've taken it too far.
But you have to understand, it's very hard to sit with yours. And it took me a long time to actually learn. And I went to a psychologist to be able to sit with myself because it was very, you know, it was very traumatic for me to actually sit. Because when you're sitting with yourself, what you're doing is you're speaking to yourself directly in a mirror. There is no one to say, oh, but she means this, or maybe it's the other way. No. It's you are bare and you really know what your problems are. And to face them is sometimes one of the hardest things you can do in life.
I couldn't agree more. It is because naturally as humans, the human psyche doesn't really like confrontation. We don't like being, you know, the wrong. So if you know, okay, like again, the health example, you know, I haven't lost weight because I haven't been eating my salad. Let's just say. We don't like telling ourselves that because it feels shit. We don't like being wrong.
Genetically we're not good, or, you know, it was 20 years ago, mum should have done this for us. But we don't want to say it's because we're not eating crap and not eating the salads and veggies.
Too much fasolia.
Fasolia is very good for you.
It's so good for you. Eat your beans. Sorry, continue, Michael.
Sorry?
I think what Michael wanted to ask
I was just going to ask you about yourself, because we can
Mariam.
sit here for ages now and talk about self-awareness and the ego battle, you know, within yourself and all of that stuff. But I think the audience would really appreciate to hear your story. So
who's Mariam?
Where did it all start?
I don't even know who Mariam is. Well, I'm, you know, as you guys probably know, I'm 34, just turned 34. So
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I feel very old, maybe because I'm a mother of 5, and my oldest is turning 18 soon.
Wow.
So I had my children very, very young. I've been married for nearly 20 years now. So I lived life the opposite of what normal, or what's the definition of normal people, you know, grow up, get a career, have a job, have an income. Then later on, if they wanted to decide to get married and have kids, I flipped the switch and said, you know what, I'm going to live on my own terms, and did everything the opposite. So Mariam as a human, I'm the mum, because that's the most important job I think you can have. And as an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur for multiple e-com brands. The most known is Eve Skin. It's an Australian organic skincare company. I'm also an award-winning Amazon best-selling fiction author, and I write fiction with a purpose, and we'll get into that a little bit later. I do business coaching, public speaking. Also opened a mastermind for women empowerment called Force to Femme, which we're reaching out overseas hopefully this year. I think that's it.
Oh, it just gets deeper. There's so much.
I haven't forgotten anything. That's it so far.
So far, I like that, because there's always more. There's always more.
Oh, there's so much. This is not what I want to be. That's just my journey into where I want to go.
Observing your social media and everything, you've obviously had a lot of ups and downs, a lot of losses and a lot of wins, a lot of lessons, I should say, probably not failures, but a lot of lessons. Run us through, if you don't mind, your first ever business that you had started on your own.
Ooh, that's going back a lot. See, because I got married at such a young age, so I had my first when I was 16.
Yeah.
So I wasn't at home, or, you know, me and my husband and the little one. And to go back with just a little step before business, why I even entered business in the first place. When I was 16, I was living overseas in Lebanon. Israel and Lebanon got into a mega war.
Were you born there?
No. He born in Australia.
born in
No.
Australia.
But I had to get remarried in Australia when I was 17 because we got court consent. You're not allowed to. We'll go into it. Let me go to the first before I forget. So Lebanon and Israel got into a war. We were evacuated with the help of the Australian government to Cyprus via boats. So me, my son, and my little one with just the clothes on our backs.
Wow.
Going through that big war changes. You don't know it at the time. I didn't know it at the time that it was setting me up for a completely different life. You know, when you're young, you think, oh, this is really interesting. Oh, there's a bomb. Like, you don't understand living in Australia that we've never seen a gun when you see full blown out war that you've probably watched in the movies.
What were you seeing?
Oh, there was tanks, the missiles. I still remember
Like close proximity too.
Oh yeah, close proximity. I remember our neighbor was an army veteran. He passed away. He was blown up, just probably not even a couple of 100 meters away. It's very traumatic. But that wasn't the biggest traumatic event for me, because years later, by chance, I got up in Lebanon civil war, which is 10 times worse, because your enemy could be your best friend that you were having coffee with at the coffee shop 2 hours ago. Literally to that point, that was the scariest, because your enemy is your best friend. It's so sad. So years later, I decided when I came back to Australia, or when I came back with the first war, I'm like, you know, life is so fragile, man. Like that. And I saw people lose their houses, people lost their money because stuff was bombed. And the government is not like here. They don't help you rebuild
There's no
anything.
Centrelink. Nah.
Oh, there's no Centrelink. Yep.
Worse, probably their lives.
Oh, their lives. You can't bring back a dead person, can you? That's the most tragic bit.
I think I said this on a previous podcast, and Michael knows this. My dad fought in the Lebanese Civil War.
Yeah.
So again, just the way he views life, and I feel like, again, like you said, without you knowing, it makes you very resilient. Like you just think the smallest things aren't, like, you don't even care anymore. Like, for example, like that small earthquake that happened. Like my dad didn't even blink, nothing. It's just like whatever.
Yeah.
Like, oh well, we broke some glass. Okay, whatever. Let's just buy a new one.
Yeah.
You don't even think, compared to literally being in a trench, being shot at, having your brother kidnapped, things like that. Whereas now small things happen if somebody robs a supermarket here, like, it's almost like second nature. So it makes you so much more resilient to
it's true to your words. In COVID, remember when people in Melbourne were bashing each other over toilet paper? I looked at it and no one could understand. I was just looking, because in that first war, I had to line up hours at a pharmacy to get milk for my son and nappies, because they were starting to ration things. They didn't know. It was the first mega war between Lebanon and Israel. They didn't know how long. It only lasted like 30 days, but they didn't know what the outcome was going to be. So when I remembered people killing each other here over toilet, and I looked, I as a 17-year-old, I lined up for hours for a bottle of milk. And we were sharing the milk with whoever was in line, because there wasn't much coming from the ports.
The mindset change of, like,
And I'm like, you're fighting for toilet paper.
Let's share. Like, we're in this together.
Yeah.
Let's share, rather than, fuck you, I'm going to take mine.
I was telling my mum, if it was a real war was to happen, no one would give you a loaf of bread here. Like, how selfish are people?
Then you've got like Amy and Ben from Toorak complaining that they couldn't buy fucking 48 rolls of toilet paper in COVID.
Yeah.
It's really sad when you put it in that perspective. I swear to God,
But
that's sad.
That's what it is. It's perspective.
Yep.
And I think that with your past, going through that gives you such a stronger perspective in life. And I think of a lot of the people that we speak to who are successful have seen somewhat, or they're just very clear on what they want, because they've had some sort of experience in their life where they're like, no.
I think the best way to put it, and this is what Johnny said. So one of our previous guests, Johnny, who was very suicidal, was on a lot of drugs, in a psych ward or whatever. So he was saying, it's like when you go through very dark times or very rough things, it actually makes you so grateful for things that people consider hard. Like he works in real estate as well, and he goes to the gym at like 4 a.m. and he gets up and he's like, I get to go to the gym. I'm able to go to the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning.
I'm able to work.
So lucky.
Yeah. So like, God forbid, in that war you could have passed, a family member could have passed, whereas like now you get to go to work, you get to see your kids, you get to do these things that, God forbid, could have been, your life could have been ended for, we don't know when or how. So it allows you to see things on a much larger scale and perspective, and how small what we think big problems are so small. Even if you compare Australia to, let's say, Bali or Indonesia, where there's people on the side of the road, or there's stray animals, things like that. Whereas now it's like, if you don't feed your pet in a couple of hours, it starts barking or whatever. Whereas, there's animals all over the street that don't have food. And put things into perspective, you go, our problems aren't that big, and we're actually grateful to have these stresses.
Absolutely. And so from when I came back here, I going back to like why I started, I didn't want, so and I had my Joseph, the oldest, and I'm like, you know what, I don't want to live, and I'm the oldest out of 10 kids. Yeah. So my father, when he passed away at 52, he left my mum with little kids, 6, 7, 8, 10-year-olds, and mum had to go back. It was very hard, back into the workforce in her late 40s and learn a skill to, you know, help the family. And I'm like, you know what, I do not want my children to grow up we are struggling. Like I don't want that life, and life is bloody too short after I had seen for me not to try and do something. So and I had no money. Like I was 17, my husband was 19. We got married very, very young.
Are you the middle child?
I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest out of everyone. So I started with
So if you don't mind me asking, how old are you when your dad passed?
I was 21. I had 3 kids. I was 21 or 22.
So your mum had you, like your kid, like your siblings and your grandkids as well, pretty much. Wow.
My kids are closer to my sisters and my brother than
to me. There's 13 of you in total, pretty much.
Oh, well, there's 20-something grandkids now. At
the time, there were 13. Even that's still like huge.
We're a big family and no support or anything. So the first business I saved for, which I got scammed, was I had seen in Lebanon, they love, Australian-made products in general. So you know how here in Kmart and Best and Lesson that they put clearance end of summer and stuff for $1.50. So I'd go and take all those products, 50 cents, $1, and then save them up till I had like a big, not a container, but probably I had like a decent size, couple of 100 kilos.
Like a pallet load?
Probably about 2 pallets. It took me like a year because it was like $2,000 back then. That was a lot of money. Like my husband was working on $70 a day. He was just a dropout out of school that came to a foreign country, doesn't know the language, doesn't know, just a year 12 student finished that my dad had thrown into rendering. What's he going to learn? He went with the Arabs. So he was on $70, and $70 a day was pretty decent 20 years ago, That was, what's it going to get you with rent and everything that we had. So it took me a long while to save that $2,000, but as soon as I took it to customs, the Lebanese border force stole it.
You're kidding.
No, they stole it. They made, I still got, the other day I was looking through my emails and I found the paperwork.
To give you what was their reason for stealing it?
Nah.
That's how it is, because there's a lack of supply there.
Yeah.
So they just take it.
It's mine.
Yeah, they confiscated it. They literally stole it. They said, there was no tags or anything on it. They said, but I said, I'll pay tax on it. I'll pay whatever it needs. I've got just, They said, nah, you know what?
Because that's what should happen. It should be like,
This is welcome to Lebanon. Lebanon. They actually, the customs stole, because we had a guy that, was trying to finish the paperwork. And guess me, they loved it. They took it and they sold it wholesale. They opened it up and just wholesaled it there and there in the port.
You're kidding.
Yeah, so that was my first. I remember I was devastated. That took me a whole year to save that $2,000 but that was number one business, and then from there, so many little businesses we did.
Okay, what was your biggest lesson from that?
Yeah, and what made you go, I can make money off this? Like, where did that business mindset come from? I can get this and sell it.
Yeah, when I was in Lebanon, they were selling because people were trading when Syria was Syria. Lebanon would always buy from Syria, clothing and everything was manufactured in Syria. No one had gone to Turkey yet. Now they go to Turkey. So when I saw they're selling a dress like for 40 like Australian dollars equivalent, where we can buy it for $2, I'm like, I can make a decent living, even just being here and get my in-laws to sell it for me and just grow like that. Yeah. But then when that didn't work out, and you were saying the lesson was never, ever, ever send anything to Lebanon. And I never did again. Doesn't matter what they say. Doesn't matter how much paperwork. They will steal. There is the corruption.
Even to this day and age,
even now. It's a bit better, but it's still.
Yeah. Even it could be anything. It's not even like health supplies. I know. My uncle has been asking for car parts. And we're like, no.
I'll steal that.
We're like, no, because you're not going to get it.
Yeah. If they love it, it's gone. Yeah. Unless it's something they're not really interested in, they'll let it through. But if it's something that they can sell there and there on the spot, and unfortunately, and you don't have some big minister that is your friend that can get it out for you, it's gone.
Did you, I'm not sure what you got into after that, if it was sort of trading or wholesaling again from then on, but did that make you then sort of study or assess trading terms and everything like that?
No, I was 17. What am I going to assess? Yes, I had a kid. Yes, I was very mature for my age, but 17 is 17 regardless. From that one, my father-in-law actually, you probably know Karim, the Lebanese ice cream that you do, it's called ash that you put.
Yes,
so my husband had learnt that in Lebanon, and it's like a little syrup, like lemon. We used to make it by hand, lemon and oranges with sugar, like a lemonade. You pour in a cup on the side of the fridge, and then you scoop it. It will become instant ice cream.
Sounds cracker.
So we imported that machine. It took us another year and a half to save. It was like $2,000 again. here, and at the festivals, there was like Eid festivals and stuff, we would sell it. But because I felt sorry for all the kids, I'd only sell the cup for $2 when it would cost me like $1.90 to make. I was 19 probably. And then and it's just from there every single time.
You slowly just get better every time. Just
better in like a weird way. But yeah, you wouldn't make the same mistakes.
At least you didn't go back to Lebanon with your products.
Oh no, never again. No.
So what was your first, I guess, sort of successful business?
So 17, you tried wholesale Lebanon, you got rorted. 19, you tried selling ice cream. What was the next step? What was the next one?
Oh, there was so many. We tried. So Lavender Market here. Yeah? Yep. So there was a guy, I don't know if he's still alive. Dave used to get all the stock from, like Jackie E or Q or whatever those big names. I don't know if you've ever seen him. He used to put it in piles in front of his on the floor in Lavender Market. So one day I go up to, it was end of the day, it was going to start to rain. I'm like, and he had Diana Ferrari shoes, and I go, how much would you give me the whole lot? It's raining. I was like probably 20. You're going to go home with it. He gives me $300. I go, everything. Goes, everything. But where am I? I'm going to need to dump it now. So I go to my house. I got a truck unloaded into my lounge room and kitchen. And I spent a whole month sorting out women's clothing, kids' clothing. And then I got people, we had nowhere to sleep. It was nearly the entire house. And I got people to come and I done an op shop in my house. And I remember I made $2,000 out of that. So
pretty good.
It was something along
it is,
the
and
side.
something.
If you think about total profit margin, fucking worth it. But again, it's that little thing of I have to do something. It really comes down to what Leo said now, literally our second episode. It's either you make change out of inspiration or desperation. It's you're I have to fucking do something.
Yep.
I got to support my family. I got a husband. I got kids.
Yeah,
I got my mom. I got family overseas. I'm the only one in a position to help. I have to make this work.
My sister thinks, why are you so weird for? Why can't you just? I'm like, I can't. Why? It's the opportunity. Grab it. $300. What's $300? I've got all this pallet, a truckload of things. There's some designer stuff we can wear. Why not? That was the they were kids. I was they're called kids businesses. Just little teen businesses.
How old are you at that age?
Oh, probably 20, 21. Yeah.
And then
you still learn though.
Oh, every single
Everything
time.
You learn, yeah.
Every single time you learn that you don't dump stuff in your house, and it doesn't matter if it's free. Half of it becomes junk, and you learn. There's better options and systems but at that age, it's just trial and error. It taught 100%. Me a lot. Yeah.
And then what was the next one from there?
Oh, there's so many little ones. So we'll skip the little ones.
Let's skip the little ones.
There's heaps of little ones. And then the biggest failure or the biggest business I opened that I failed in was I had a boutique in Sydney Road, Brunswick called The Evening Gown. I sell designer dresses. It was doing really well. So we'd go me and my sister to fashion shows in Turkey especially and get high-end designer clothing, but we wouldn't put a markup like what other stores were. So we were very cheap compared to getting originals from those designers. It went really well until I got scammed. I got scammed hundreds of thousands of dollars for my own.
You imported the dresses to Lebanon.
That would have been understandable had I done that. What I did was, and this is 101 in business, you don't, if you're honest or if you think that people are going to treat you how you treat them, you're very much mistaken.
Yeah, big mistake.
Big mistake. And because I'd been nearly 2.5 years in buying from a particular designer, we had bought around $45,000 worth of stock.
Wow.
All my life savings we had put it in that shop. So when
so who did you do this business with?
This overseas with one. We're not going to mention names, but with one designer that we.
I'm saying you said your sister.
And she would just go with me. It was my business,
okay,
so she would just go with me, just to the fashion shows and stuff. So I don't go by myself. So when we got $45,000 worth of wholesale stock from this designer, usually in Turkey, and 99.9% of the time, whatever you see and you order, you don't even need to check it twice. They just the cargo will bring it in, and it's the same thing. So we had all these boxes. So I said to my sister Salim, I'm like, you know what? When they came, we'll just open 1 or 2 boxes because we're going to put them out the front. And as we sell, we'll just open. So we're not going to end up with a muck, and the storeroom's going to be, there's so much of it. So I didn't open this is the mistake. You always check your products. Doesn't matter how many times you've done business with the company or the person, you check it on the spot. So 4 months later, when it was time to open the rest of the boxes, we open up, it's nothing that we've ordered. So let's say I think it was 2015, that was that collection. They've sent us 2010 stock or 2007 stock. I'm a high-end designer shop. I cannot sell it for 5 cents. We'll be lying, ruin us. So we ended up, and I saw the paper the other day, we ended up giving it to the Salvation Army We gave them $45,000 USD worth of stock in donation. They gave us a paper for tax purposes, that, you know, so I don't have to pay tax on top of it. But we lost. I didn't have any more money to buy new stock, and then COVID a few months later hit.
Was that the first purchase you bought off those guys in Turkey?
No. It was 2.5 years.
Did you ever
in.
confront them? And, And what was their sort of?
They said, well, our policy is 30. They've got a point. It's your fault for being an idiot. Our policy is 30 days. Had you come back and said in 30 days and said there was a mistake, we would have considered it. But
do you think they did it on purpose?
Oh, absolutely. Because the first couple of boxes were fine. It's the stuff that were at the back and they were all underneath. And you couldn't do anything about it legally because it's 4 months, not in the 30 days. And that, look, and then COVID hit. So I think all the ducks lined up for failure. That probably hit me the hardest because that was our life, everything we had. And I was forced to close down. And then COVID and then, 2 years of lockdown. That I just went through a depression that dived that thank God that I got out of. It was very bad times, very hard times. So
let's fast forward sort of 2021. Out of lockdown, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna fucking hit the ground running. I'm gonna make a change again.
No, it was before.
I was going to say, did you get the ball rolling in lockdown?
Yeah.
Okay.
What got you out? What, if you don't mind me asking?
What got you out of the hole?
What got you out of the hole? Because
it was a very bad hole. COVID, because I had opened Eve's just a week or two into lockdown. Like I think it was, I can't remember. I think it was in August 19. When did lockdown happen?
Around there.
It was just opened.
It was actually March 2019, I think.
COVID had happened.
Yeah, because I remember I just landed and then they stopped traveling March.
Oh, then I opened a bit earlier because we went overseas for our last trip for 5 days in December, and then I remember February or March, we were in lockdown. So just before, so when that shop thing happened, look, I remember I cried for 1 day. And that was a big, because I just sit and assess. I don't sit and cry over anything, even if it's money, because you can make money again. And with my experiences, and the only thing I'd cry over if I lost a human, because we can't get that back. Yeah. Money we'll bring back. We'll work and we'll make money. But I remember that day was so bad, everything's gone. We worked years and we had nothing. So I had, in that time, I've got very sensitive skin. This is how Eve was born out of I think God sent it to me. I have very sensitive skin, and I was just for months researching organic stuff and organic ingredients and what I can use that's sort of not going to cost $1 million every month at Myers to buy with the 5 kids. And when the shop closed, I'm like, you know what, I need, till I figure out what I'm going to do in my life, I need to make a couple of dollars from home, man. There's 5 of us, there's me and my husband, just extra income. So I only had $169. That's all I had. I found a biochemist that would manufacture, allow me to buy a couple of pots of our clay mask, and I didn't have money for labels because the idea was this product that I've been using. I forgot to say, testing for a while. I loved. I'm like, if I sell it to my sisters, I've got 8 sisters. If I sell it to my neighbor and my friends, I can make a couple of $100s. That was the only thing that I wanted. But I said I can't sell it without a label, man. So I have my Afterpay account, and this is why I tell people, if you innovative, if you can think outside the box, you can do anything. The people that I still use till this day for our labels, long story short, design and print, offered Afterpay for labels. So I bought 10 labels with my Afterpay, and if you buy online, Afterpay doesn't require your first installment. So I got 10 labels and 10 masks, and I sold that. And it's literally people tell you, then they made 20, literally. And then people started telling me, oh my God, someone bought this, would you sell us more? And it just started to build
So you sourced the product from someone. Is that what I'm getting at? And then you put it in your own.
No, so we bought the 10 clay masks. That's all the money that I had. I like the ingredients. It worked for me. I've been trialing it. So
were you wanting to start a business, or you were just trialing for yourself? And
no. I liked it. It was for me. I was using it for me for a couple of months before. I was buying just little,
So it wasn't intentionally trying to be a business?
Oh, no. It was just a couple of hundred. There was no website at the start. There was nothing. It was just, at home, a couple of hundred, because, you made a bit of profit on it. I have no overheads. It's in my room. Beautiful. I just put the label on just so it looks a little bit, nice and neat. It doesn't look, looks like a product. Yeah. And I had called it Eve's Kit. It wasn't registered, nothing. It was nothing. But when people started saying, oh my God, why don't you just try and open a little website? It might work, the might work thing. I'm like, yeah, added a moisturizer, added this, because there was a bit more money coming in now. Everyone told me don't do it, including my mum. I remember, and she meant it from a good place. She goes to me, who is going to leave David Jones and Maya and come and buy off an online store that no one knows and nobody a pink clay mask. I said, will you watch?
Funny you saying that because David Jones, is it Maya? One of them's just going into liquidation at the moment.
But you know how our old generation is. Maya and David Jones is the epitome of shopping.
Oh, that's like the
yeah, that's how you know. And she
100%.
meant it in a good way, but she's like, "Why are you trying? No one's gonna buy these. They go to Maya and David Jones and buy
it's like,
off
why
them."
would I go buy a Toyota if I can go get a Ferrari?
Exactly right. Like, why is
Cost.
yeah. And mindset as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, so I opened up the online store. It was just about to work. Like we started word of mouth because it was all word of mouth, and then COVID hit. Went back to the darkness. No, we were fighting over toilet paper. No one wanted the pink clay mask.
It's true because it scared a lot of people at the start, and then people just stopped spending on everything for a while.
Yeah, for a while. Yeah.
And then old mate JobKeeper came through, and then people were starting to slowly spend.
So how did you bounce out of that? Because Eve Skin is still running.
Yeah, it was running. I had so much product. Looking every day, I'd kick the box as I was walking. Piece of junk, like all the hundreds of dollars I could have now spent because they hadn't given JobKeeper yet. Like, you know, this is early stages.
COVID stages, yeah.
You know, what are you going to do with? You can't eat a pink clay mask and a moisturizer. It doesn't feed the kids for breakfast, lunch, or dinner yet. You know, what are you going to do with it? So it took me a good, and I couldn't sell it. Like, I discounted the price. I tried just to get this stock out of the house, man. I didn't know how long this COVID was going to be. I went into depression, severe. Like, to the point where I now understand when people say they committed suicide, I could understand and see where was their mind for them to go to that path. I went to a psychologist online, on Zoom. I'm so grateful that I didn't listen to anyone saying, "Oh, you'll be okay, that I went and sought help. Because again, in our ethnicity, in our community,
it's just like,
you're
you'll
not
be
crazy.
fine. Have some Panadol.
My mum's version was just pray a little bit more, mum. You'll be okay. Yeah,
Allah be her winner.
Absolutely. Not only that, look at what's happening overseas.
We've got
everything.
Yeah.
The government will help you. Why are you depressed? Like,
what do you think it was that was the hardest for you to take in? Like, what do you think, coming from your past and all of that happening, plus the business closures and everything like that? What do you think
there just so many sort of like you do good and it stuffs up. You do, but it's like not really your fault. It's like things just happen.
Because with COVID, I felt like we all felt like we were just drowning because we didn't know what was going on. There was the uncertainty too.
Not only that, I have 5 kids, yeah?
Yeah, 100%.
5 kids, 3 of them are teens. They don't want to, in COVID, the fight every day was turn off put your computer on unmute it and stop turning it towards the wall because it was online. They were asleep. And the computer was on the floor. Having 5 kids with you 24/7, and my husband decided that his man cave was going to be in the garage. He noticed that kids make a lot of noise because he wasn't at work anymore, and it just got overwhelming. 24/7. There is 7 of us at home, no work. We don't know. And then they had the curfews and all the rest of it. It was to the point where I felt I was literally, as you said, drowning, and I don't know if we're going to be saved or not.
Mm.
And the business part of it killed me more because we had come out of the big loss in the shop. And then this on top of it, I couldn't see hope for anything anymore. And people were dying. We had, friends of family that had COVID that passed away. It was just doom and gloom. I couldn't see any hope.
Mm. It was a tough time for all.
For everyone, especially Melburnians. We were, nearly 2 years,
we copped
man.
it the hardest, I reckon, in the globe.
Fucking stupid. 5K radius.
Fucking
what
ridiculous. Can't leave after
There was
9
no
PM.
parks. Our park was put, red tape. I felt like we're criminals.
Yeah, literally.
Freaking park.
Literally.
So then from there, where did sort of the other business things you have going on now? Like the mindset coaching, business
before
coaching.
What turned Eve Skin to make it successful in the first place? When I was in that depression moment, when I was starting seeking treatment, I had learned and researched, and this is what I tell a lot of people, you need to, you can be depressed and you can be upset and you have all the bad emotions, but you need to find a way to crawl out of the hole you're in. You just can't stay there buried. You'll die then otherwise. And I was complete rock bottom. The only way was to crawl up now. So I sat and I learned, and through Facebook and Google and listening to YouTube thing, that you need to sell the problem and the solution, not the damn product.
Need to hit a pain point.
And I didn't see. Although I've tried businesses, I don't have a background in business. I'm not educated in business. I don't come from money family to teach me.
You did literature.
Literature and composition. I'm writing. I don't come. This is the thing. When you come from a poor mentality family, generational passes down, because as you guys know, it's all passed down. Generational trauma is true. Generational wealth is very real. Generational poverty is very real. I wasn't taught anything about business fundamentals. So I had to teach myself. So when I figured out that, you know, when people were getting mask acne, because they were wearing the mask 24/7, that's how I'm going to sell my product. Our product.
Are you sick of getting acne?
Yeah, we changed the messaging. We blew up. Like it sounds so cliche, but that's literally what I did. I'm like, oh my God, our products help people clear the acne. They were getting acne and so much crap on their face. It helps. And the other thing I did, and I think now that took guts, was at 1 o'clock in the morning, I needed media. I have no money. So I'm like, I looked up the editor of Daily Mail. And at nearly 1 a.m. in the morning, I messaged her my life story with pictures of Eves and where we were. And I prayed to God that this lady was going to answer a random weirdo, you know, early hours of the day and run a story for me. You know, the next day she did. She goes to me, oh my God, the chief editor loved your story, and it's still on the net. Wow. We're going to run a half page, I think 3/4 page for free, because Black Friday had just come and we had sold $20,000 in that Black Friday from nothing.
Wow.
Because the messaging changed and we got that, and they ran that. So I got free marketing from the Daily Mail.
That's
for
huge.
Eves, and it just started from there. Of course, there's a lot of bad stuff that
100%,
but it started from there.
I feel like the biggest message we can take from that is like, you just like, it's so fucking hard, but you have to keep pushing.
Have to.
You have to.
No.
Because like you don't know when it's just going to go straight up. You don't know.
You don't know when that door that you've been knocking on opens out of nowhere.
How many times you've been turning that key?
Yep.
And one more time it might click open.
Not just that as well to take home from what you just said then, but more so like you still need to put in work. Like it wasn't just luck that they didn't reach out to you. You still had to write that email. So you still have to put in the work.
You need guts.
You took the
I've
action.
learned in business, you need the courage and you need guts to try. Because had I told anyone that I was going to message someone at 1 p.m. that no one knows, 1 a.m. in the morning, and try and get an article, every single person was going to say, yeah, don't bother, man. Who's going to reply to you?
Who's going to reply to your Daily Mail? Relax, who do you think you are?
100%. And they were going to say, why are you wasting your, like they'll put me down. They wouldn't have given me 1% hope for me to even try and give it a go. But if you don't try, you'll never know. What's the worst case scenario? She wasn't going to answer. That's it.
Which is what was going to happen anyway.
Even as a real life example, I had a gentleman approach me the other day and he said to me, he's like, how do you guys get such like influencers and big names on your podcast? I'm like, we just message them. And he goes, really? I'm like, well, yeah. I was like, what's the worst that could happen? They're going to say no. They're going to leave us on scene. They're not going to reply to the email. I was like, well, then what? You just message someone else and try again. I was like, it's like if I don't message Mariam, and she's never going to be on because I haven't even asked her yet. It's the same thing. Like you just have to be willing to cop it on the chin. But I feel like people are too scared of failure.
Of rejection.
Yeah,
it's rejection. That's not even failure. It's of rejection.
Perfect.
But I think people need to understand I'm not going to say how deep, but how do we think that we are going to pass in life and never get rejected? Like that's just so naive to think that your every wish and command in life is going to be a yes, yes, please come, and everything's going to be a plate of gold. It's not true. You're going to be rejected. And as we started Eves, I've nearly lost $600,000 in Eves because there's so many mistakes were made along the way. It's not like the lotto, you win and then you're never going to have a loss again. There is so much up and downs and tsunamis and earthquakes that happens to you in business as you grow. You can't steer away from that.
The saying I like to use is it's never linear, but the gradual trend is upwards.
Yes.
So it's always going to be a zigzag up and down, but you're still gradually going upwards. And that's why you said like it's like 0.001% up or better. It's not like 10%, 10%, 10%.
No.
It's never going to be like that. You might grow 30% or be 30% better over the next 5 years, which is huge.
Yep.
But you can't just expect, today 5 million, next week 500 million.
No. And once I've changed that mindset of I want to improve 0.01, it's taken a lot of stress off my back for me personally. You know, I realized that, you know what, you be happy with the 0.01 because in 10 years, that number's going to grow really big compared to if I just quit it because 1% was too much for me.
100%.
How's Eve now?
It's good. It's, you know, as with anything, when you grow, your problems are amplified. You get logistics problems, you get a million other problems, scaling problems.
We're still not sending to Lebanon. That's good.
Yeah, they tried. I said, no, we can send to Dubai and then someone can pick it up if you've got relatives. But, you know, we launched in Qatar.
It's exciting.
Yeah, in Qatar, sort of started there. We've got other places we're thinking. We do sell worldwide online though, but the physical places, not yet.
From a business standpoint, your moisturizers and everything, is someone making those?
Yep.
And
so
then
someone
you
manufactures. Manufactures them for us now.
Okay, so someone manufactures, because
yeah.
obviously
It's
when
Australian
you get,
handmade.
when you get to a certain point with skincare, you obviously need certifications and everything too.
Yeah,
for
we've got
those.
all of that. Yeah. So it's Australian handmade, and this is I think our point of difference is we don't sell in big batches. Everything's made in small batches, handmade here in Australia. You're getting fresh products. Like our products don't sit on shelf life for years and years. You're getting organic stuff. So I think, and then people love that all around the world.
That also just make it like scarce too, some products?
Not scared, but there's waiting. Like we had a big sale now. People have been waiting 20 days, and I've said from day one, look, if you can't wait, don't order, because there is no physical way we can. It's by hand. Human hands are making these. So and people are happy to wait. Like I've learned now that not every customer that you need to acquire. You need to, and that's the mindset. That's how it's changed for me. If maybe we're not for you, our products are not for you, and you are not for us.
You have to find the fit.
At the start, I wanted every customer in the world. No, I don't want that anymore. You have to fit us, and we have to fit you right. And if you're happy to wait for a premium product that we're making with love and we want to make it perfectly, you're just gonna have to wait.
As Alex Hormozi says, the riches are in the niches.
That's exactly right. You're 100%. Not for everyone, and that doesn't upset me anymore. It used to, but now I understand.
Like you think, why are they getting their moisturizer from there? Like why are they coming to me? It's like, okay, they can do that. That's fine. That's for them. This is for me.
There's billions of people on the planet.
100%.
There's enough for everyone to go around.
And as Michael was saying, it's like scarcity creates value. If they know they have to wait 20 days, they sort of want it more. It's like, I want it. Like, I am going to buy it. Like, I want to see what the hype's about. Why am I waiting 20 days? And then, obviously.
We've got, I think, one of the highest retention rates in the world, not in Australia. I think we're at 52% retention rate for our customers, which is I think 47 is the average or the high end, because we are very, customer service to me is so important. And 2 days ago I was doing a story saying I learned from my mentor John that you actually call your customers. I sometimes randomly call my customers to check up on them, to see, what can we do better for them. So customer service for me outdoes any profit any day.
That's actually one thing I wrote down, because I read when I was doing some research on you, one thing you kept saying in sort of all your articles and stuff is that
customer service.
It's customer journey is important, not just a transaction. You got to nurture your clients the whole way through.
Yep.
And it's not just about, okay, cool, give me money, here's your skincare, go wash your face.
It's never about the skincare. You know, women are emotional buyers. Men buy for status. You've probably heard that a million times, yeah? But when I sat and figured out what that means is, it's never about the mask or the moisturizer or our face oil. It's never about that. It's always, there's a backstory behind every purchase. Why? And if you are able to unlock and understand the marketing and the psychology of buying, especially if it depends on your niche, you have created a community that will stick with you through and thin, like no matter what. You've created a cult, and that's the secret of building it, especially in e-com or any business, is to create a cult that will defend you to the end.
100%. But in like an e-commerce brand, how do you sort of nurture the clients? Like after they've bought, how do you sort of build that cult? How do you sort of keep them in the loop?
So I keep talking about email marketing and the importance of email, and I wish I had known from day one that you build the damn email list. That's your cash cow. That's your guaranteed bank loan. That's what's going to keep you afloat in business. So, with email, obviously, but it's you as a founder or you as a team or whoever you are, you need to, and as I was saying a second ago, I call my customers randomly. Check up on them, especially my ones that are repeat, customers since day one. If I want to add a present, what do you guys want? What can we do better? How can we improve? We've become friends. Like they tell me, this. If I know a customer's had a baby, I would add a different product, maybe like a headband or a piece of clothing. I go the extra mile because I really care. Because that person's trusting me with their money. It's not just about the product anymore.
Trust and rapport.
That's what it is.
And then where did the olive tree come about? How did that sort of come into the picture? What made you want to, obviously you sort of studied literature and composition, but where did...
It took me 10 years to get that degree because I had 5 kids in between the kids studying.
So did you always have a passion for writing and that sort of thing? And was it always like, I've got this degree, I've got a passion for this, I need to do this? Or you like, it's sort of something that stemmed from business and learning and failures? And
None of that really, because I wrote the Olive Tree years before. I only graduated a couple of years ago, and I graduated from my mum. You know how our parents, you need a degree. I'm like, Mum, when I got it, I'm like, here, there you go, Mum, there's the degrees for you. You've got the piece of paper. Yeah, what do you want? There's the degree. No, look, I writing for me is a trauma outlet. Everyone has, some people paint. I write, and especially witnessing the wars
It's a
in
great
Lebanon.
trauma outlet.
It is when you put and characters and meeting different humans, and I'm a very big extrovert, so everyone to me, and I can't whip up characters from thin air. I had to have seen them somewhere in life, so it was a trauma outlet for me. And I had written the Olive Tree probably just before I had the evening out of the shop. But again, this is why you don't tell people anything anymore. People would tell me, "You're gonna write? Like, who that really?
who's reading?
Not only who's reading, like you again. Who do you think you are? You're gonna write. You stick with clothing. You stick with whatever you're doing." And I'd say, can you just at least read and see if it's good? The stories based in Palestine. It's not about politics. It's not about religion. It's about human essence and how, war. Children pay the ultimate price in any war, because that's what I came out with after seeing 2 wars. The children, poor kids, pay the price. But no one would look at it. And in COVID, when I went through all of this crap, I said to myself, you know what? I swear, I'm never, ever going to not do anything anymore after all. If we can go into a worldwide pandemic and nearly die in it, anything that I ever want to do, I don't care if no one reads it. If I only read it, I see it in front of me, then I've done my job.
Yep.
So I actually got a deal from overseas from a publisher, but I rejected it because it was big money, but they were going to change. They were going to turn it political. And I didn't want that. I didn't want it to talk about religion. It's not about politics. No, this is a story. It's fiction, but it has there's a scene where the mother dies. I saw my own father die in front of me. There's a lot of me in it somewhere, or people that I've seen weaved into a story. I wasn't going to change it for all the money in the world. So when it went onto Amazon #1 in 3 categories, I was shocked.
Wow.
Like, I was shocked. And then it won in Crown, I think it was last year, it won #1 fiction book of the year as well. And then when I started getting like fan mail, like, oh my God, like I have a guy, I don't think I'll ever forget him. I think he was 70. He was an ex-veteran. I think he was Croatian, or I don't know what nationality he was. And his daughter was writing to me saying that my father's a very hard guy, and for him to cry at 70 over a book. And the book I had thought was for early teens. I didn't anticipate adults were going to read it. It's a light book compared to what I'm writing now.
Is it?
So how'd you go with publishing and distribution?
So Dean Publishing here in Australia, I think they reached out and they said, you know what, if you're interested in talking about your Eve's journey, and I said, leave Eve aside now. I've got a book. Check it out. What do you guys think? And they loved it, and we went from there, and it's just. So
for those who want to buy it, read it, where can they?
Any bookstore online, Amazon, Mariam. I've got Mariam Elhouli website. You can buy it from there.
Audible yet, or?
Not yet. Everyone's convincing me to do Audible. I know, yeah.
Because there's a lot of market there, and I'm one of them. Yeah. And it's not because I don't want to read or I don't like to read. It's more of a time thing. I'll listen to a book in a car, at the gym.
Well, we're going to make it into a movie.
Oh,
yes.
That's very exciting.
So we were in talks with Netflix overseas, but it's about changing, and I don't know whether I go down the producing line and do it myself with help some others. I don't know, but we are translating it now into Turkish and then Arabic and then Spanish. And then it, God willing, if I can, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I want to do it into a movie.
That's awesome.
That's a dream for it, is to see it live there.
Did you bring the book out before or after the whole business mentoring thing?
So the Olive Tree was sort of simultaneously. Eve was already going on, but I didn't have Mica Minerals, which is a mineral makeup company with my sister. And I'm not a makeup really fan, but she was, and it was like I was the brains and she had the expertise in makeup, and it was sort of the next step. And she said, why don't we try? I really love organic makeup, and we can sort of do this together. And that's how like Make was born, and other business ventures that I've since, we're veering out into supplements now, and because I like to try different things, not just stay in one niche or one industry.
Yeah.
And then that's how that sort of we've veered. And then the public speaking and the business coaching came later when I saw a need, especially for women that were starting out, because I was scammed so many times. It's embarrassing to say how many times I was scammed.
I think it's not. I wouldn't say it's embarrassing. I think it's like now it's like it's a good way to learn. It's like it's a shit way to learn, but it's a good way to learn because now you know what to expect, like how to expect the
Yeah,
unexpected, what not to do. Now you check all your items, double check everything.
You need to learn the task before you outsource it. Like why couldn't I learn that from day one? Like how naive was I to trust every single Tom, Dick and Harry that they were going to do the job right, especially when it came to Facebook ads, because in a click of a button, once we lost $6,000 in one session. I didn't know anything about, that I don't know if you guys know much about Facebook ads, but you're not supposed to have, the client or the person see your ad like 50 times. That means they're not going to buy. That means you're wasting money. It's dead money. Like it took me so long to understand
all the little things that sort of people skip. Yeah.
Yes. Thinking the other person's going to do his job right.
So a good way I like to think it is like what you're doing is help people skip the stuff ups. Because you're like, not entirely, like there's always going to be stuff ups and failures and lessons. But the major ones where it's like you might save them $10,000 from getting scammed. Or you might save them some money with their marketing and their Facebook ads.
So I do a lot of startups, but then I do a lot of now we've done a lot of companies that are more established and that sort of, want to branch out. But the biggest lesson I think if your listeners can take from here when starting e-com and what I shouldn't have done, don't start an e-com brand with 1 million products.
Just do one.
1 or 2. If you're desperate for 2, do 2. You're in the testing phase. You need that email list. You don't know what's going to work. And don't be emotionally attached to your product. I was that when our labels have changed, and it took me 2 years to accept, because I'd hire people to tell me what to do and then say, what do you mean my labels are ugly? I'm not doing that. or let's do this. I'm not doing that. What do you mean?
I like it. No,
this is my, if people don't like it, don't buy it. That mindset of, if you're talking about my product, you're talking about me. And I had no acceptance for anyone telling me anything. Once I grew and understood, if I am now told we're selling a black clay mask, we're selling a black clay mask.
How was your transition going from businesses where it was product based, then transitioning to a service based business of being a business coach? Is it difficult?
At the start it was, because I haven't, and this is again why you should build a personal brand alongside of your business brand, because if you build a personal brand, no matter where you pivot in business or in life, your tribe will follow. It took me 2 years to have the courage to say to people that Eve's skin was even mine. I was very self-conscious, self-aware. Look, I'm a Muslim woman. I'm a scarved woman. I didn't know how people would take it. I had people, before we had the warehouse, I had people purchase from us in the same street. They didn't know it was my business. I'd go to the post office and send them their order. They're like literally 4 doors down. It was very hard to say, you know what, this is me. You like me, you hate me, you hate me. I'm not for everyone. To get to that took literally years.
And how was that experience?
It's very hard. You're opening yourself to a can of worms. You're opening yourself online to everyone. And people have no filter. And people think just because they see 1 minute of your life on a story that they have a PhD degree in your life, literally, and they know everything about you. And, our community, they love to dob me into my mum.
Of course.
your daughter said this and your daughter did that. And I just tell my mum, yeah, mum, just nod. That's fine. It's hard, but I've learned to accept that. That's part of the parcel.
That's actually one thing I wrote. It's like probably maybe one thing I want to touch on. I feel like there's not a lot of scarved women, Muslim women in general in business or, so you've really broken the stereotypical what's known as a Muslim woman. And I fucking love that.
Thank you.
So for us as ethnics, we don't for us, it's just, you're just another female. Fine. Amazing. Great. Doing business. But I want to use the word here very loosely. To the Australian eye, this is very weird and what's going on?
Even to the international, I get a lot of international media. And again, if you read some of the, in my highlights, they say, Lebanese background, Muslim.
Why does that matter?
And I keep saying, why can't you just introduce me as Mariam, Australian Mariam? Why do we need to put the Lebanese, Australian Muslim? Why is that so important?
They don't say Christian lady.
No, why is it? And then, one of the editors said to me, because even in the Middle East, we don't have, even if they're in business or they're CEOs, they're always behind the scenes. No one really
has a forefront as a face.
No, they don't. Because, and I understand why. It opens you up to so much criticism. You have to have thick skin. Yep. I used to get really upset. If you go to their mail and read some of the comments were just
it's ridiculous.
Horrible. Yeah. Well, but you don't know me. Why would you say me? And then I understood. Look, it's not about me. It's about them.
Yeah.
But then again, that's another few years in learning that this is not about me. Everyone's
got on them.
Exactly right. And people usually, and I learned this. I've met many, especially on Zoom, because we've got now Zoom amazing. They can connect with people. I've met so many very big entrepreneurs, and I learned something from them. No one ever criticizes you that's doing more than you. It's always the people that are doing less that have a lot of words to say.
Yeah.
It's never anyone doing more.
If they've got the time to sit there and criticize you, they're not doing anything with their time.
No. And if they've got time to analyze your life, I feel really sorry for them that they've taken. I get people sometimes that send me, page length emails about what I'm wearing, what I'm doing, and I respond. I use that degree that I've got, and I sit there sometimes and respond, and I really feel for them. And I say, you don't have anything in your life to do. Like, is that how lonely you guys are?
Do you think it's not even worth wasting your energy on responding to those comments?
No, because I actually changed a few people's minds. No, it is actually, because some people are actually ignorant and they don't mean, and they've got their own troubles. And when I have time, I make an effort to try and, you can't convince the world, but sometimes people just need someone to listen to.
Mm.
I read the other day, Michael, it takes a child 2 years to learn to talk, but 50 years to learn to be silent.
Fuck, that's huge.
Very big. And I've been analysing that for the last week.
That is huge. Because
I'm guilty, everyone's guilty of it, because we listen to reply, not to comprehend. And we're so quick and snappy at replying hate back to people. We don't really read between the lines and see, why is that person, where's it coming from?
That's deep.
Yeah.
And that can go deep in the sense of individuals and why we do that as well.
Yep.
I think, I touched on that a few years ago too. And I think I used COVID as well as a real stepping stone to really, know myself and know yourself and understand you as a person and understand the whole ego thing.
I've changed a lot since COVID. And actually today my sister was telling me, you've changed 360, you're aware. And I said, yeah, absolutely. And I'm not going to be allowed to be shamed in saying that I've changed. Yep, I've grown. And as humans, that's the norm. It's not the abnormal thing. It's the normal thing for us to grow.
It was a sink or swim.
Absolutely.
COVID was a sink or swim. You either, swim or you sink. You can't do anything about it.
I think there's a blessing in everything that happens in our lives. I know it's not saying that COVID is a blessing in itself, but the people that really learnt the lessons have really come out of it stronger, way more than the people that just did nothing about it.
100%. You have to pivot. You have to.
That saying though about being quiet, that from a business owner standpoint, that is so important.
Very.
If it sort of ties in with you. If you're in the wrong room, if you're the loudest in the room,
if you're the biggest fish in the pond, your pond's too small.
No, not only that, I've learned, because now we know we hire people and stuff. I never tell anyone that you're working for me. No. We're working together.
Yeah.
We're a team.
Yeah,
we're a team. And I think that mentality of, I tell everyone, don't you dare say boss. I'm no one's boss. You guys are, whatever you say goes, because you're the experts in your field. And I'm here to listen to you guys. Whereas before it was, I think I was self-absorbed. No, you don't know. You've never done it. I think when you change, it's all about mindset, yeah? When you change and learn to be quiet and listen to people, you will get far ahead. And when you treat people correctly and rightly and respect people and their opinions. And again, it's more than just about work. Everyone's got a story, yeah? Every single one of us has a story. If you sit and pay 2 minutes of attention to their story, because people want to be heard, not even seen. People want to be heard and listen to them. They will, and I have people, we don't work together anymore, but whenever I need them, I'm just a message away.
That's how you have to be. You have to be a people's person.
Don't burn bridges in business. Don't burn bridges.
It ties in a lot with the book I'm reading at the moment, actually, which is How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah, I read that 2 weeks ago. Beautiful book.
Great book.
Yep.
Where he sort of says, you need to, in a conversation, people usually talk about themselves. Whereas if you're silent and if you actually genuinely ask from a place of, just genuinely ask people questions about themselves and what they do with their life, that immediately, from the other person's perspective, like, fuck, this person's good. He's listening to me,
They're not just talking for the sake of
talking. They're not just talking shit,
No. I've learned a lot, as a business, I have had coaches myself and mentors, and, I've learned a lot of lessons, and since applying that, like Pete does my email marketing, Pete Devkova, he's got Email Optimized. He's been with me from day one. He's put his own money and time when I was thinking in eaves to help me out, because we built a relationship. Like he's the brother that my mother never had, literally till this day. And he taught me a big lesson. He said, Mariam, you have to learn to float, not swim. You cannot swim if you don't know how to float. And sometimes floating is going to take years. It's not a day thing.
100%. 100%. I think before we wrap up, I'd love to ask you what has been your biggest, what are some take homes? What have been your biggest lessons
In business.
in your life so far?
You could give to someone in any business, not just e-com, like,
Or even if it's not business related and it's life related.
Probably one of them would be, as I just said, float, don't swim. Don't expect, even if you're the best person in that industry you're going in, don't expect that you're going to be an overnight success. This is a very long journey. Start off with your personal brand alongside whatever you're going to do, because you're going to pivot. Because don't think where you start off, A, is going to be your end destination. You know, you might, and never, in business especially, as we said, don't get emotionally attached, but be lenient. That if the data comes in that you need to pivot straight away, you are very flexible in moving. You know, don't overthink things. Life is too short to live on the sidelines. And the last thing I want to add that I've realized, sometimes we're the perpetrators in our own stories. It's us. It's not people. It's us, because we tell ourselves that. So I think sometimes we have to stop the blame game and blame everyone except ourselves, because we're the villains.
wow.
Not no one else. That's it.
Boom, mic drop.
Mic drop.
Thank you so much. I got so much out of that. Like, my brain's going, okay, I got this, I learned this.
It was good. And it was really good to hear your story.
Yeah, as well.
Thank
Again,
you.
again, because a lot of people see like the end outcome, the money, or how many businesses you have, but they don't see what you went through, the tenacity, the grit, the resilience, the bouncing back, the downtime.
No one sees getting up at 3 for Zoom calls around the world and your eyes closed and you're listening to 10 people talk about analytics, and
yeah, of course.
you do it for yourself.
100%.
If you don't do it for yourself, you're never going to get up.
100%.
So thank you very much for
Thank
coming down. Thank you for
you.
joining us. If you're not already following Mariam on Instagram, please do so. Eve's Skin, the olive tree, all of it. Get around it.
And
Thank you very
We'll
much.
tag the book too.
Thank you very much for
Thank
joining us,
you.
and we'll
Thank
catch
you
you
for
guys
having
on the
me.
next episode.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
guys.